Hey there guys, welcome back. I'm Cerise Fairfax. Today we're going to talk about the news in the Dominican Republic. Now, just to let you know, I'm coming at you from the north coast of the Dominican Republic, but this news is going to be nationwide, covering the entire Dominican Republic. Today we're going to discuss the new rental laws here in the Dominican Republic, the new Penal Code that is going on for criminals, a possible tourist that is wanted in regards to the ATV accident that happened here in Soua. We will also discuss Soua after midnight, the effects of what is happening to Soua ever since the raids, and also the new law and order. We can't forget the 2,000 police officers that has been added to the police force. We're going to be talking about that and more, so buckle up, get ready. This is Lifestyle Tuesdays in the Dominican Republic with me, Cerise Fairfax. I want to start first with the ATV accident. Now, from this video, you can see that someone is walking down the street. He is a garbage man doing his job on his duty, standing on his business. He's walking down the street. It's lunch break around that time, and all of a sudden he gets smashed into the wall by an ATV driver. Now, some people feel that it is a tourist because of the fanny pack that is around him. A lot of tourists use fanny packs around their shoulders, but they're not the only ones. It is the style of a lot of men here right now anyway. However, most tourists are using those when they are on ATVs. Now, if you look closely, you can see that the person gets smashed against the wall, and then this person takes off. Behind him is another person who's on a motorcycle, and that person also keeps going. There's a possibility that they could have been together, possibly not. The video doesn't show any more ATVs going down the street. However, this person did leave the scene of a crime, and this garbage collector deserves some type of justice. If you have any information, you can contact the authorities about this incident or any other incidents at all. And especially here in Soua, now we have a fiscal office, that's a prosecutor's office. It's located beside Santa Cruz Bank on Pedro Clasante. There's a police office there, and there's also an office for the fiscal. They work until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 2,000 police officers have been added to the police force. More than 2,000, actually. 2,400 is the rough estimate. And a lot of people are asking, why so many police? Well, they're most likely gearing up for the future. Right now, the Dominican Republic is going through a lot of changes. There are going to be a lot of changes with the Penal Criminal Code. There's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to certain people doing certain things on the streets. As you know already, Soua has been a point of concern for a lot of the authorities, and they have cracked down big time in Soua. And that brings me to my next story, which is right here, Soua. Now, Soua has taken a huge hit. A lot of restaurants have been really not doing business. And I was out the other night just purposely hanging out over by King's Restaurant, over by Meg, and I was staying there out late, later than I normally would, just so I can see what was going to happen in the evening time. You know, that old song, the freaks come out at night. Nobody was coming out. It was empty, completely empty. At that moment, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to get a motoconcho home. They were locking up. Everything was locking up. The street was getting dark. There was hardly anybody on the streets. Now, there were a few places open, and yes, there were motoconchos. That concern was no longer a concern once I got around the corner and I saw that there were a whole bunch of motoconchos there. Motoconchos are working day and night. My personal motoconcho, who doesn't work after 6 p.m., he works from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. He said that it has changed completely here in Soua. He's very worried because he doesn't have any other job. He only is a moto concho. He has 3 children and a wife, and he said his money has gone down significantly. And his wife, she does nails from home, but without the ladies going out a lot and without having customers, then that means both of those people who are usually together supporting their family are both taking a financial hit. Some people are comparing it to the pandemic second time around. Now, speaking of motos, there is a huge concern with motorcycles here in the Dominican Republic. If you come here, you know, sometimes people go down the street, they do papa wheelies. But there's one thing that has been the thorn of contention with Dominicans and also with foreigners, and most importantly, the authorities. This is the enhanced mufflers, the exhausts. Now, they make a lot of noise, and of course, the younger generation loves them. The younger generation appreciates that going down the street. It gives them some type of power, you know, kind of like someone that just wants to have that extra bit of oomph. This is exactly what has become more illegal. Now, it has always been illegal, but the shops have never really stopped making them or providing them. And the reason why is because the law has not been enforced. Now, as you can see from this video, it is being completely enforced, and the anger against the garages that provide these types of mufflers. As you can see, the authorities are going in there and they are smashing up those mufflers. They are not dealing with it. They are videoing it. They're putting it out. They're showing the shops out there. If you're going to be selling them, you're going to get in trouble. Your products will be damaged. And not only that, a lot of the motorcycles themselves will be pulled over and the motorists will be ticketed. Now, a lot of you might have heard that Airbnbs have targeted some people's accounts here in the Dominican Republic. Those accounts that have been targeted are the ones that specifically say their places are guest friendly. And those are the places that are suggesting in a very nice way that it means you can take a girl in there and nobody will bother you. More specifically, a working girl. So those accounts have been contacted from Airbnb and canceled. Now, those accounts can also appeal it, but upon appealing, they need to change certain things about their Airbnb, and it cannot be guest friendly any longer. Now, of course, I'm sure people will be able to get past that somehow, some way, but there will be a lot of places where people will start to snitch and people will start to speak out, because there are a lot of people who do not want the girls in town. There are a lot of people who are very reputable business people who do have Airbnbs who were not contacted, and those are the people who will hear wind of this or see it, especially if it's in a condominium or a shared type of residence, and they will definitely tell. So you have to be careful out there. If you want to stand on your business and you want to make sure you're making your money, then you have to make sure that you abide by the rules. Speaking of apartments, now the Dominican Republic is changing a lot of laws right now when it comes to the rental leases, when it comes to the tenants and also the landlords. You see, for a very long time, the tenants had no rights and also the landlords had no rights. Many times the landlords will rent their places out to some people that will come here, and when they're here for like maybe about a month or 2 or more, they destroy the properties. And not only foreigners, sometimes it is people who are also Dominicans as well. They rent a place out. When they leave, it is destroyed. Sometimes the towels are gone, especially if it's a furnished place and the place is furnished nicely. When the tenant got into the apartment, air conditioner was working, the fridge was fine, the stove was awesome, and not only that, the furniture was clean and not broken. All of a sudden, the person leaves, and of course, they gave their deposit and they want their deposit back. The landlord checks out the apartment, they go in, they look around, they see that it looks clean. Then afterwards, they say fine, and then they rent the place out to the next tenant. The next tenant goes in there and says, hey, the air conditioner doesn't work completely. The fridge doesn't keep things cold. The stove is not working at all. And the couch is broken. The bed, underneath it, the mattress's strings are all hanging out. Because quite often the landlord does not live in that apartment. The landlord rents the apartment out, and because, especially places in the Dominican Republic, because the places are transient, it's a very high traffic area. People come and people go. People come and people go. So a lot of the landlords here, and not only Dominicans, but also foreigners, they have places that they have put a lot of heart, a lot of soul into fixing it up for people who are coming here. And the furnished apartments are great to get. But what happens is some people don't treat it like it's their own place. Or alternatively, they do treat it like it's their own place because they don't respect their own house. Let's read a little bit about that right now. In simple terms, landlords can only ask for up to 2 months of rent as a deposit. Okay? Rent increases. Rent can only go up once a year, and the increase can't be more than 10% unless the tenant agrees. So what tenant is going to agree with the rent being raised to more than 10%? Evictions. Landlords can't just kick tenants out. They must go through a legal process with a judge. 4, where the deposit goes. So if both sides agree on the tenancy, the deposit must be put in a government bank like Banreservas or Banco Agricola for safety. Now, a lot of that comes from, landlords. They don't have it. You want to move out, you give them a 1 month notice. Hey, I'm moving out. And then they say, oh, they don't have the rent because they spent it. But this way, the government's going to hold on to it and the landlord cannot touch it. 5, if the tenant dies, the contract can continue with the tenant's partner or kids as long as they can pay the rent. The landlords that I use to help people find apartments for long-term rentals, they're Dominican, they're very honest. Most of them take 1 deposit. And they take the 1 deposit and the 1 rent. And with that, they keep it, and you can use that deposit, that security deposit, as your last month's rent. So usually the landlords that I work with, they're pretty straight across the board. They trust my clients. When my clients go in there, they rent the place for a few months. And then they say, okay, you know what? I'm ready to go. They have to give at least a 1 month notice. Then they use their deposit as their last month's rent. I think that's pretty easy and simple across the board. But those are low income places. There are some places that are like condominiums, and those would work really differently because the furniture is a lot more expensive. The area itself, you're dealing with a whole other bucket full of crabs when you are dealing with higher income properties. And a lot of the higher income properties, they want 2 deposits plus the rent. So that's what's changing now. There's another law that's also changing here in the Dominican Republic. And this is a very interesting one. Let's talk about Penal Code Law 7425. Now, this is completely new, and it is also under review right now. The president said that it can be amended, but this is pretty much what it is. Crimes under the new Dominican Republic Penal Code, Law 7425, can result in prison sentences of 40 to 60 years, especially when someone is a repeat offender of serious crimes. So you may be thinking, what are some of the serious crimes? Well, I looked that up as well. And types of crimes that can trigger very long sentences. Under the new Penal Code, crimes are classified in 2 high severity levels. Very serious offense, called muy graves, These include crimes of femicide, that is taking a woman's life, contract killing, genocide, crimes against humanity, human trafficking, torture, and killing for hire. Economic crimes is the other ones, and it is economic crimes and corruption. So that is bribery, embezzlement, illicit enrichment, and also violent domestic deaths, kidnapping, and chemical damage. Other modern offenses like digital crimes, terrorism, obstruction of justice, and pyramid schemes. If someone is convicted of a serious or very serious crime, then commits another one within 10 years, the penalty escalates under recidivism rules. That case, the law typically assigns the punishment immediately above the base penalty. This system sets a cap of 40 years. If someone repeats something, they can get an automatic 40 years just for standard escalation of the crime. Now, if they do further crimes, and they can reach up to a sentence of 60 years. So if someone commits one very serious crime, they can face up to 40 years in prison. If they commit another very serious crime in 10 years, then they will get 60 years because the second crime is penalized more harshly. Now, multiple convictions can also add up, leading to a combined sentence of up to 60 years. Okay, examples. Let's look at some scenarios. Kidnapping or femicide, up to 40 years for kidnapping and femicide. Femicide is taking a woman's life. This overhaul replaces the prior Penal Code from 1884, boosting the maximum sentence from 30 to 40 years up to 60 years. Now, this also includes new criminal categories like cyberbullying, economic violence, and the next story time is going to be about cyberbullying and also economic extortion. Wait till that story time comes out on Thursday. Deep fake blackmail, it also has blackmail in it. And suicide incitement, reflecting modern societal challenges. This new law, if someone commits really severe crimes multiple times, they could spend the rest of their life behind bars, up to 60 years. So the story time that I have coming up on Thursday is very serious. I want you guys to tune in on Thursday. I always have story time on Thursday. I always keep the names fictitious, but the stories are real. This story that is coming up is about a man that was blackmailed. He was cyberbullied. His wife was cyberbullied, and all because he did not pay the woman the extraordinary amount that she wanted after spending a week with him here in the Dominican Republic. He lost everything in the United States because his wife ended up divorcing him, all over lies, but also over him sleeping with another woman while he was here. Now, we're going to get into that story and look out for that Thursday, but today is about the news, and every Tuesday I will do a video just like this giving you guys the news. Okay, guys, so thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, and don't forget to join me every Tuesday for Lifestyles, every Thursday for Story Time, and every Saturday for The Scoop. Take care, everyone. Huge hugs, loads of love, and big blessings. Be good to yourself out there. You deserve it.